Right now, Bennett Chevrolet is paying a minimum $8,000 for any trade. That's at least $8,000 for any trade, running or not. Bennett is doing it again. Want $8,000 for that old rotted out rat trap? Just drive it, push it, tow it to Bennett Chevrolet for a minimum $8,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. Got a good trade? Well, if we're paying a minimum $8,000 for total junk, imagine how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. Looking for new? There's no beating Bennett, because unlike other dealers, we're not selling over factory sticker, and there's 0% available financing. Plus, if you're stuck in a lease, bring it to Bennett. We can get you out early, any make, any model. And remember, Bennett will buy yours even if you don't buy ours. Stop in for a quick quote. No pressure or obligation, because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is 97.3 ESPN, home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got 'em!
WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Back here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Glad to have you guys on board the show today. We got a lot to get to in this hour. Of course, it's the Weinberg Wednesday. Dave Weinberg will join us coming up in about 20 minutes. Well, less than 20 minutes from now, actually. Extra point columns over at 973ESPN.com. NBA play-in tournament began last night. Some interesting results, and I think everyone's a little going nuts out there. I mean, just because Minnesota won that game doesn't mean they're gonna do anything else. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. The reactions. I mean, I hate to say it, but Shaq and Charles got suckered last night. They got manipulated by a playoff result. Speaking of the play-in tournament, you can hear the next couple games tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. tonight. Last night, the Nets locked up their spot. Minnesota locked up their spot. So the 7 seeds in each conference are locked and loaded. Tonight's games are about who survives to play for the 8 seed. So we'll get you more details on who's playing tonight and what I think is going to happen in just a bit here on 97.3 ESPN. Talk some Eagles and NFL draft as well with Dave Weinberg. So before I get to the Eagles, the NFL draft in just a minute, and we'll also talk a little bit about the MVP race in the NBA. Phillies did play today, and they lost. And it was one of those games that kind of reminded me the reason why I had been apprehensive about this team. Now, I'm not making any grand judgments on this team. If you've listened to me long enough, know that to me, the heart of the baseball season starts Memorial Day. To me, Memorial Day weekend is like the unofficial start of the baseball season for me. So whatever happens in April is just a ramp up precursor for May, June, July, August, September. With that being said, I think the last 2 losses by the Phillies do encapsulate my overarching concern with this team. A game like today, the hitting, just what the guys who are supposed to be the sluggers just didn't do enough. And the game last night, you just got outdueled, basically, is what happened. And you got to give the team credit last night because they fought to stay in the game, but it never paid off. You know, they had more hits than the Mets did, but they also left more runners on base than the Mets did, okay? Zach Wheeler was only allowed to go X number of pitches, okay? He had 65 pitches last night, but the bullpen did a great job, which is why I'm a little surprised of the move the Phillies just made a few minutes ago, and I'll get to that in just a second. But you look at what the bullpen did the last two games. Brogdon pitched last night, and he did fine. He pitches today, he gets lit up for a couple runs. Now, the problem is you shouldn't have pitched him back-to-back days, maybe. Maybe not that kind of pitcher. I don't know. I'm tired of this guy, Jones. I mean, Jones is just a bum at this point, in my opinion. But they're not sending Damon Jones down to the minors. No. According to Todd Zalecki, they're sending Brogdon. Brogdon had a good inning. Well, good 2/3 of an inning last night. Then they optioned him today. They're also optioning Damon Jones, too. Thank goodness. James Norwood is being activated from the bereavement list, and another roster move will be following tomorrow, according to Todd Zalecki of MLB.com. So at least they're getting rid of Damon Jones. I mean, this guy's a waste, in my opinion, on this roster. But you brought in Dominguez very early in the game, which felt like a waste. Alvarado went out there and did his job. Falter basically was just trying to hold the fort down, but at that point it didn't matter because Kyle Schwarber had 3 strikeouts and went 0 for 4. You bring in Alec Boehm to come off the bench and pinch hit again today. Didi wasn't as good as he was in the couple games ago. Most of your hitting was from Camargo and Stott. Mike Gill brought this up earlier today. I think it's a very important point. This team is not going to win games because of Bryson Stott, wherever he hits in the lineup. They're going to win because their big bats do the job. You gave Schwarber, Castellanos, and all that money. Bryce Harper's the reigning MVP. You kept Hoskins on this roster for a reason. Didi, you brought back him for a reason. These are the guys that have to hit. And between going 0 for in runners in scoring position last night, and then today, you couldn't hit your way out of a bullpen implosion. The only solution is to get rid of Jones. And I don't know if sitting Brogdon down is the answer, but obviously they had their reasons why. Maybe they felt like he's just not pitching well enough. Maybe they felt they pitched him back-to-back days. They got to go give him some rest now. But either way, this is what happens when you become boom or bust offensively. You become so dependent on the offense to bail out the pitching staff and the defense that you never give your chance to win games more often than not. Now, look, the defense has not committed any errors the last 2 days, so the defense hasn't killed you, at least in the box score. But you have to wonder, are the pitchers pitching a certain way because they know the defense may or may not be available to do certain things? The Phillies got to use this month to figure out the best solution for their pitching staff. Because now you have a guy in Aaron Nola who has consecutive starts where he just implodes. This is a guy a few years ago was a Cy Young candidate. And now he's given up 4 runs in the A's loss, a game that I thought that they kept him in too long. They shouldn't have let him go as far as he did in the game, but they did, and they suffered for it. And then you got to think, did that burst a bubble to his confidence, not walking off the mound saying I did my best job? Did that damage him for this game where he gave up 3 more runs? He had 76 pitches going into the 4th inning. So, I don't know. Is Nola just a guy who can't go deep in the games anymore? Whatever the reason is, the Phillies offense went out there and got just 6 runs. They scratched 6 runs off the board off of 3 different bullpen pitchers for the Mets. If Nola doesn't give up those 3 runs in this game, do they maybe win the game? It's certainly debatable. The Phillies had 2 problems. The Aaron Nola enigma, and their offense is not going to be able to hit their way out of every game. Like I said, they still have the rest of the month to figure it out, but it is definitely something to keep an eye on as we move forward, because the Phillies, they got an interesting set of games coming up. They're going to hit the road and go to Miami to play the Marlins, which has always been a bit of a house of horrors for them at times. A 4-game set with the Marlins. Then they go to Colorado for a 3-gamer with the Rockies. Get a day off, then they come home with a big series against Milwaukee, face Colorado again. Then they hit the road against the Mets. That's their next several games as they head into the month of May. So over the next 2 weeks, I'm curious to see how the Phillies adjust, how they evolve, how they try to figure this out. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. As always, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973 is the text board. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Over at 973ESPN.com, Mike Gill posted the Mel Kiper mock draft. And as we discussed earlier in the Sports Bash, either Mel Kiper's information is not accurate, or the Eagles plan on going in an extremely different direction than anyone has ever expected them to do before. And this is where I have issues with these mock drafts, because I have trouble differentiating if these mock drafts are purely based on gathering of information or is just these guys' opinions. Like Mike Tannenbaum, when he gave a mock draft, said, "This is what I would do." He overtly says that. When it comes to Kiper and McShay, it feels like it's and even Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network, Bucky Brooks of NFL Network, it feels like their mock drafts are in some facet or another, and a combination of this is what I think will happen, and this is what I think should happen. They're never 100% clear on that. And every time, I'm going to listen very closely to the next podcast with Kiper and McShay to see if he thinks this dude thinks the Eagles should draft or they will draft. I think there's a huge difference. But he first has the Eagles drafting Chris Olave with the 15th overall pick. And then he has him taking Kobe Dean with the 18th overall pick. So I got two huge problems here. Number one, the Eagles don't draft linebackers high. They have a long history of not doing so, no matter who's in charge. So why do him and McShay keep putting the Eagles with linebackers? So either they have information that nobody else has on planet Earth, or this is just their opinion of who they think they should pick. So that's a little bit of a conundrum right there. Then when it comes to them drafting Olave, I don't think it's a smart idea to draft another guy who's similar to someone else. Okay, Olave is a better route runner than Quez Watkins, but you just said Quez Watkins has a potential, Nick Sirianni, of being a number 2 receiver. So which is he? Going to draft another receiver who's similar to Watkins, who's also similar to Devonta Smith? No, you need more variety in terms of your receivers. The reason why I'm okay with the idea of Treylon Burks being drafted is because he is a very different type of player than what they have, and it's the kind of guy that they need. So that would make sense to me, but not Olave. I think Olave is just a better route running version of Quez Watkins. And at that point, is he just duplicitous with another guy on your team, that being Devonta Smith? So I don't know. I'm not a fan of some of these mock drafts because I'm a little confused myself about which mock draft is based on intel and which mock draft is based on people's opinions. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. We'll check in with your guys' thoughts, comments a little bit later in the hour. Text board is there, 609-403-0973. We will also give you a little preview of tonight's action, which you can hear coming up at the top of the hour right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Charlotte versus Atlanta, San Antonio versus New Orleans. The winner of each game goes on to play Friday night for the 8th seed in each conference Right now, Brooklyn is locked into the 7 seed, and Minnesota is locked into the 7 seed in each conference, respectively. So, we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. But coming up next, Weinberg Wednesday. Dave Weinberg joins me next here on 97.3 ESPN FM.
The playoffs are coming.
I've prepared, feels like my whole life for this stage and for these moments.
Behind the back to Giannis for the flush.
I want to see when they get punched in the mouth during the playoffs.
Booker, you bet.
How this team handles adversity.
The playoffs are coming. The NBA playoffs, exclusively on 97.3 ESPN FM, South Jersey's sports leader.
Surprise! The mystery sale is back at JCPenney. You could save up to an extra 50% during our coupon giveaway while supplies last. Plus, extended store hours Friday and Saturday.
Spring into savings all month and spring out of that car you hate at Matt Blatt Kia in Egg Harbor Township or Toms River. We'll take any trade, any make, any condition, even if you're stuck in a loan or lease. Matt Blatt Kia can get you released. Do you have a job? Do you clear $350 per week? You could be approved with 0 down and low interest rate financing on every clearly marked new Kia in stock. And remember, we have new Kias arriving daily. Just because you don't see it on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving your new Kia home tomorrow. So bring any trade to Matt Blatt Kia, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. And don't forget, you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Offers with approved credit through Kia Motors Finance. Not all will qualify. Go to mattblattkiamj.com for complete details. Expires 5/8/2022. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township. And now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with Premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with Premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K. How convenient.
East Coast Roofing and Siding, protecting what you love and own. East Coast Roofing and Siding, trust us with your family and home.
Hey there, South Jersey. This is Sean Steitler with East Coast Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Do you have a home project you've been pushing off? Does your house need a facelift? If so, you need to take advantage of our Economic Relief Rebate Program. For a limited time, we are offering no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Plus, when the job is complete, we will send you a rebate check for up to 15% of the cost. No payments until 2023 and money back in your pocket? You can't beat this deal. Call us today to schedule your free consultation. 609-625-1900. That's 609-625-1900. You can also visit our website at eastcoastroofing.com for more information.
East Coast Roofing and Siding, trust us with your family and home.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like the world is throwing everything it has at you, and to succeed, you need someone to guide you through. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PCs and tech advice to help you navigate whatever challenges you're up against and get you safely to where you want to be. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
With GMF financing, approved credit excludes Corvette.
This just in. Right now, Bennett Chevrolet is paying a minimum $8,000 $8,000 for any trade. That's at least $8,000 for any trade, running or not. Bennett is doing it again. Want $8,000 for that old rotted out rat trap? Just drive it, push it, tow it to Bennett Chevrolet for a minimum $8,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. Got a good trade? Well, if we're paying a minimum $8,000 for total junk, imagine how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. Looking for new? There's no beating Bennett, because unlike other dealers, we're not selling over factory sticker. And there's 0% available financing. Plus, if you're stuck in a lease, bring it to Bennett. We can get you out early. Any make, any model. And remember, Bennett will buy yours even if you don't buy ours. Stop in for a quick quote. No pressure or obligation, because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Powerball is now at $302 million. Stop searching for four-leaf clovers and take a chance on Powerball today. With a jackpot win, you could have the power to do it all. Anything can happen in Jersey.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
We are counting down to the NFL draft here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget your next chance to qualify for Pick Your Trip coming up in about 33 minutes from now. Mike Gill, the Sports Bash, broadcasting live from Slack Tie Brewing Company on Route 83 over there in Dennis Township. Of course, Pick Your Trip being brought to you by Phillies Sports Trips. Visit phillysportstrips.com to plan your trip with the pros. Also brought to you by Ernst & Sons Old Fashioned Butcher Shop in Brigantine. Your next chance to pick your trip and be part of the Eagles Draft Party giveaway contest comes up after 55 after each hour on the Sports Bash and Game Night here on 97.3 ESPN. Weinberg Wednesday, we get into date with Dave Weinberg each and every week here on 97.3 ESPN. He joins me right now here on Game Night. Dave, I anticipate you had a full round of golf today.
I wanted to, but I had babysitting duties today with my grandson, so the best I could do was a bike ride.
Well, it's still more fresh air than I got. My fresh air today was driving with the windows down for 40 minutes. So.
It's better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah, that's what they tell me, you know. So I got to ask you, Dave, because I want to start here. Today, Steven Nelson signed with the Houston Texans, so he's off the board, which frankly I'm glad about because I don't think bringing him back was an answer for this team. There's a lot of consternation right now among people who cover the team and the fan base about should they draft a cornerback? Should they hyper-focus on that in the draft? Mm-hmm. Or should they try to, quote-unquote, break the bank and go pursue a guy like a Stephon Gilmore?
I go draft. I take one of them, one of my first-round picks. I take the best one that's still on the board. There's several guys there that I've heard that are worthy candidates. You just need somebody to play on the outside opposite Darius Slay. Mm-hmm. Avonte Maddox is pretty well suited to the slot, I think. So, I don't think I'm going to be spending big money on Stephon Gilmore or anybody else like that. I think I'd rather have a young guy that I can develop.
I lean toward your perspective for this reason. This team needs to develop corner. They haven't legitimately drafted corners since Lito and Sheldon. That was 20 years ago at this point. So
yeah, around there. Yep.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So to me, when was the last time this organization developed that? You're supposed to have these great people in your front office, right? Andy Weidel is from the Baltimore organization, and you have guys getting plucked from your front office left and right. You should be able to go into the draft and get more than Zech McPherson.
Right. I mean, I would argue Avonte Maddox is pretty good, I think, especially if it was a fourth-round pick. I think that was a pretty good move by them. But, yeah, you're right. They don't have that they haven't made that so-called splash since they drafted Lito and Sheldon and even safety Michael Lewis all in the same draft. Yeah, they've really dropped the ball when it comes to getting corners, that's for sure. I mean, they probably thought Sidney Jones and Russell Douglas were going to be the answers, but they definitely weren't.
No, they absolutely weren't. And the only reason why I'm not all go out and get a guy in free agency is, Dave, not because I'm anti whoever's available, but to me, if you're going to go spend money on somebody who's available right now, I just don't feel like the cornerback is the position I would go after. To me, the position I go after, I just go get Honey Badger and get it over with. I understand he may not be prime time anymore, but he's certainly an upgrade over anybody who had back there last year. And you already interview with him. He's a great guy in the community. His teammates like playing with him. To me, it just seems like a win-win. You're going to give Marcus Williams what they call market value, quote unquote. So why not just give the same deal to Honey Badger and be done with it?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, I don't think he's a Pro Bowl level safety anymore, but I think he's certainly an upgrade, like you said, above what they had or anybody or what they had last year, or in particular. And then you speak of drafting corners as opposed to free agent. Their draft record isn't so good, but neither is their free agent record. I mean, Darius Slay being the exception. I thought he had a pretty good year this year after struggling his first year here, but I mean, you're talking about guys like Bradley Fletcher and Kerry Williams and the guy from Seattle, I can't remember his name, and Nnamdi Asomugha.
Nnamdi, can't forget Nnamdi. Come on, dream team, man.
Yeah, I mean, since Asante Samuel, which was a tremendous addition, they really haven't lived up to expectations in free agency either when it comes to corners.
Oh my goodness, what was the Eagle?
Oh gosh.
I'm looking it up now because it's going to drive me nuts if
they traded him to Miami, and I just can't remember his name. He was part of the Legion of Boom, but I can't. His name just escapes me. I don't know why.
maybe because he's that regrettable. Oh my goodness!
It'll come to me at like 4 a.m. or something.
Yeah, well, of course it will. It'll be 3 or 4 a.m. You're wandering around the house looking for a glass of water. You'll be like, "That's who it was."
Yep.
But before we get lost a bit on rabbit holes, the other thing to me, Dave, is I think people also don't understand that you got to look at the Eagles through the lens of this is not Jim Schwartz's defense anymore.
Correct.
This is not the wide 9. This isn't the stuff they used to do. Gannon wants to play zone. So in theory, you look at the history of, for example, Minnesota and Indianapolis, 2 places he's coached, they've gotten away with drafting corners who are competent because their safeties are so good.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And the safeties aren't so good right now. So yeah, it's they definitely need to upgrade there. And yeah, that would fit perfectly into what Jonathan Gannon is trying to do. You're right.
Dave Weinberg joining me here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Of course, you can follow Dave on Twitter at Dave Weinberg 19. His extra point columns are over at 97.3 ESPN.com. I'm literally just stalling at this point because I think I might have found the guy's name, but I got to sort the list of certain.
Byron Maxwell.
Byron, yes.
Oh, thank you. Whew, now I can sleep.
I'm literally scrolling through the roster. I'm just like, where is this guy's name? I'm scrolling through the 2015 roster and I'm trying to where is this guy's name? I know he was on the team. I literally found it the moment you said it. Yeah, Byron Maxwell.
Yep.
Yeah. Whoop-de-doo. He had 2 interceptions in 2015. So
yeah, he didn't do very well, that's for sure.
No, he didn't. But that's part of my question as well, Dave, which is this organization has had a lot of different people who have been quote unquote in charge, right? In the last, 20 years, it was Joe Banner, right? And then it was this amalgamation of Howie and Andy and who was really, we assume it was Andy most of the time because I felt like I was a Bill Parcells when I shop for my groceries situation. Then Chip Kelly got here and then Howie got the power back. But then it was Joe Douglas with Howie. Now it's Andy Weidel with Howie. So there's a part of me that wonders with the draft, how much can we take from 15, 20 years ago when it's a completely different situation right now?
Yeah, it's completely different, except that Howie's still in charge, basically. It's Howie and Jeffrey's show. And they have they had a lot of input from Andy, but he's long gone. I think it's Howie that makes the calls come draft day, right or wrong. it seems like the coach should have a little bit more input, the coordinators and even the position coaches, and especially, I guess, the scouts do, the ones that spend all the time, scouting these guys, interviewing these guys, bringing them in, watching tape. They're the guys who really know what they're talking about, or supposed to anyway. So, you can't place too much emphasis on what happened a long time ago because those guys aren't here. But the one constant is Howie Roseman. He's the guy who pulls the trigger on draft picks, I think anyway.
Dave, there's a lot of mock drafts out there, which I said before you came on. It's hard to tell how much is opinion and how much is actual like reporting and sourcing with this stuff. But there's a lot of guys that keep mocking the Eagles to get a linebacker. Dave, they haven't drafted a linebacker since what, Jerry Robinson in 78?
Yeah.
So like I just have trouble wrapping. Look, I would love to see the Kobe Dean or Devin Lloyd in an Eagles uniform. I think any Eagle fan would, but I just can't see this organization doing that. I feel like Kazir White was the guy that, went and got a free agent. Like that was their like, see, we did something kind of thing.
I agree.
I expect them to go D-line in one of the first 2 rounds for sure if they're going defense.
Yeah, it's got to be D-line, corner, and wide receiver. Really, those are the 3 biggest needs. Everybody's. Well, not everybody, but it seems like a lot of them, the so-called analysts, national analysts, are throwing Devin Lloyd in there as one of their first-round picks. And, yeah, I'm with you. I just don't see it. I mean, not that he's not a good player, but they're just not, like you said, they just signed one. So why would they need to draft one? I don't. They might draft one later, maybe, but I don't think in the first round at all. I'd be shocked.
I'm actually see them draft a linebacker maybe like in the 3rd round.
Yeah,
I can,
sure.
I mean, Devin Lloyd was Devin, not Devin Lloyd, Davion Taylor. Man, I'm doing great with names today.
That's okay.
Davion Taylor, he was a 3rd round pick. So
was Jeremiah Trotter.
There you go. So I mean, they got, for goodness sake, there's a history now. We just built a connective tissue from Jeremiah Trotter to Davion Taylor. I was probably making somebody roll over right now, but still, the point is that I just. And then these other people, like, I just have trouble depending on these mocks. I feel like they're more fun fodder than they are actual dependable reporting.
Yeah, they are. I mean, you can't really place too much stock in them. I mean, they are fun to look at and to try and speculate what they're going to do. But in reality, beyond like the first maybe 5 picks, maybe even like 3, nobody really knows what teams are going to do. I mean, you've seen different teams go in like different directions, but that you never thought they would. Players that are picked that you never expect. So yeah, I mean, they very rarely follow form, but it is fun. It is it's a nice way to spend a couple minutes, I guess. Trying to guess what the Eagles are going to do, but in reality, nobody does. Nobody knows for sure.
Of course, there's also the side effect of all of this, which is we talked about this earlier today, me and Mike Gill, which is I still think there's a chance that the Jacksonville, Detroit trade their picks because that's been talked about a lot. There's a lot of reporting out there that apparently Detroit and Jacksonville were at the owners' meetings shopping the picks. So you know how that works, Dave. We see the Eagles did it, right? The Eagles traded up to get Carson Wentz, for goodness sake.
Right.
When teams are willing to shop picks, more often than not, that pick's getting traded, which throws off everybody's plans when it comes to these mock drafts and these projections.
That's true. I mean, Jacksonville supposedly wants, Aiden Hutchinson but it's a pretty deep draft for edge rushers. So, it would behoove them to move a little bit farther down and still get a pretty good edge rusher, maybe add another player or a pick or something to the fold. Cause they need players. They don't have a whole lot of depth. I would think they would go offensive line myself. I mean, to give Trevor Lawrence as much protection as they can, but evidently they seem to be leading defensive oriented, but I could see them trading the number 1 pick. Definitely.
Dave, I want to ask you a little about baseball here. First of all, I know how much you love baseball.
Yes, I do. Just watched the Phillies blow another one there.
Yeah, they did. But here was my point a little earlier. I try to treat April like a ramp up for the season. Because to me, baseball is May to September. And I feel like April is we're still figuring out who is what and what is who. What the Phillies do today after the game, they sent Damon Jones, thank God, to the minor leagues.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that guy's just been a disaster. So, if they move forward and Damon Jones never pitches out of the game, their bullpen might not lose a couple games, right? So, to me, this is still a time for us to figure it out, learn as we go along. Nothing has been decided just yet.
Oh, definitely not. Yeah. I mean, there's still like 98% of the season left, but yeah, I kind of I put a little bit more emphasis in April than maybe you do. I just think that games that you give away now are games that you have to make up later, and there's no guarantee that you're going to do that. This is the time when your fan base is really excited. You really want to give them a reason to come to the ballpark. New guys, feeling their way, getting used to the fans, the culture, the clubhouse. But I don't know. There is a whole lot of baseball left, so it's way too early to read too much into what's transpired to date. But I can't help but feel a little bit of angst on the fact that they just got beat by the Mets 2 out of 3.
Any concern about Aaron Nola moving forward? This is now 2 straight games where he just seemed to implode.
And I don't quite get it. I even tweeted like after the second inning, I mean his stuff is as good as anybody's. I mean, he's got like 5 pitches that he can throw, but he just doesn't seem to know. I think it's all mental with him, and he just doesn't seem to have the confidence in some of those pitches. Throws at the wrong time, throws them at the wrong time, the wrong count, that kind of thing. And then when he gets in trouble, he just seems like he panics almost, and he just can't find his way. Like you saw Max Scherzer load the bases, find a way to get out of it. Nola can't do that. I don't know what it is, but he just seems to implode. Like once things go wrong, they just keep getting worse. I don't know what the answer is. It seemed like it would be on their pitching coach and manager to be able to straighten him out. But so far that hasn't happened.
Dave, something else I know you love is golf, and the Masters was this
Yes,
weekend.
I do.
Scotty Scheffler, almost a wall-to-wall winner. Was that one of your winners?
Yes, it was.
Nice. Very nice.
I had 400 reasons to work for Scotty Scheffler.
So what you're really saying is Dave Weinberg didn't just spend time babysitting, say he took the kids out for lunch, is what you're saying.
That's probably, and if we take him out to breakfast every Sunday, so maybe I'll have to splurge a little bit of money on that this time.
But I did think it was interesting. Listen, not that I just like Scotty Scheffler, but I was curious to see, could he hang on all weekend? Because to me, the best part of Sunday wasn't Scotty Scheffler. It was Colin Morikawa and Rory McIlroy just going shot for shot. I mean, I literally got off the regular broadcast. We're on the ESPN Plus, where you could only watch them and just watch them. I didn't even care about Scheffler anymore. I was like, these guys are. I mean, that shot by Morikawa, the blind shot out of the bunker, and then McIlroy, the chip that went around the green, and I'm just like, this is amazing golf.
Yeah, those guys really put on a show, and yeah, I mean, McIlroy's shot out of the bunker was like one of the best I've ever seen in the Masters or any other tournament. It was just incredible. And then for Morikawa to match it after that was just that was really quality TV. But I mean, I did watch Scotty Scheffler not only because I had money on it, but the fact that he's somebody that you like to root for. Down to earth kind of guy. Has really worked hard. #1 player in the world, which I couldn't believe the odds were the way they were with him. He's proven himself time and again, in the last year or so. But I was really impressed with the way he didn't panic when Cameron Smith closed the gap. But then Cameron wound up imploding with rinsing that ball in the 12th hole, and that was kind of all she wrote. I just wish Rory would play better like that for 4 rounds instead of 1.
Right, that's true. If Rory played like that for at least 3 rounds instead of 1, he'd probably have at least a major or 2 more under his belt. But
that's the truth.
Speaking of guys with majors under the belt, Tiger Woods, he looked good early on, faded down the stretch. Tiger says he's going to play at the Open.
Right. Yep. In St. Andrews, right?
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Tiger moving forward? Do you think that he's working his way back? Do you think he'll never be more than we saw on this weekend? What do you think?
I don't see him winning another major. I really don't. Or maybe even another tournament. It seems like he's always going to play from now on his majors anyway. But I just don't. He's not the dominant player that he was. He's not the intimidating player like he was. So people compare him, like say, with Mike Tyson in his prime. Sorry. Nobody's scared of Mike. Nobody was scared of Mike Tyson after he lost to Buster Douglas. The same thing with Tiger. No, he doesn't intimidate anybody on the course anymore. It's not to say that he can't come back, and maybe like he did in 2019, maybe he can, recapture that magic for one more tournament. But I really don't see it. It was nice that he made the cut. That was a really cool thing, and the ovation that he got on the 18th was really neat on Sunday. But I honestly don't see him like seriously contending again.
I think the only way he wins a major, Dave, is if he plays a course that suits his style at this point. Like he has to play a course that, maybe it's not as much walking, you know what I mean? Or maybe not as many hills or, something that's not going to wear down his body. Because it seemed like all that extra walking Saturday and Sunday really caught up to him.
I know I'm in the minority on this, but I don't see what the big whoop was. The guy didn't climb. He wasn't climbing Mount Everest here. He was walking a golf course. Yet everybody's treating like, oh my gosh, you had to go over a hill. I don't get what the big deal is. I mean, if he didn't think he could do it, he wouldn't do it. I don't think. What Alex Smith did with a equally horrific, if not more horrific injury is 100 times more impressive to me than what Tiger did. I don't mean to demean what Tiger did. It was great to see him back on the course again, but they're making it out like, oh my gosh, he ran like the Boston Marathon on one leg or something. I don't understand.
Dave,
but I'm cynical, I guess. I don't know.
No, I'm gonna hand you that point. That was an excellent point, and we're gonna end this on a high note. I'm gonna leave with you with that high point, and put the check box in your column there.
Thanks.
Follow him on Twitter at Dave Weinberg 19. Check out all of his extra point columns over at 973ESPN.com. He joins me every Wednesday for Weinberg Wednesdays here on 973 ESPN. Dave, always appreciate the time and the conversation.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it as always. I'll talk to you next week.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 973 ESPN. Don't forget, coming up in about 15 minutes, well, that's more like 13 minutes from now, your next chance to qualify for Pick Your Trip at the Eagles Draft Party, where one lucky listener will pick a trip for two to a 2022 Eagles road game of their choice. Caller number 7 in about 13 minutes from now. But on the other side, we'll get to your guys' thoughts and comments here on Game Night with me, Josh Hennig, on 973 ESPN FM and 973 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City.
It's Sixers playoff basketball this Saturday on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McInnes, calling all the play-by-play action.
Kyrie steals the ball. The Sixers on the move. Harris into the lane. Bam! Right hand slam.
It's Sixers Raptors Game 1. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers playoff basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN.
With GMF financing, approved credit excludes Corvette. This just in. Right now, Bennett Chevrolet is paying a minimum $8,000 for any trade. That's at least $8,000 for any trade, running or not. Bennett is doing it again. Want $8,000 for that old rotted out rat trap? Just drive it, push it, tow it to Bennett Chevrolet for a minimum $8,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. Got a good trade? Well, if we're paying a minimum $8,000 for total junk, imagine how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. Looking for new? There's no beating Bennett, because unlike other dealers, we're not selling over factory sticker. And there's 0% available financing. Plus, if you're stuck in a lease, bring it to Bennett. We can get you out early. Any make, any model. And remember, Bennett will buy yours even if you don't buy ours. Stop in for a quick quote. No pressure or obligation, because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Easter, the season for pink grass and chocolate bunnies. But Walgreens knows it's also the jelly beans taste like what season, or how many baskets is too many season. Let Walgreens fill your baskets fast with pickup in as little as 30 minutes and delivery in as little as 1 hour. Because if it's who hides an egg there season, it's Walgreens season.
This week, select varieties of Easter Jelly Bean candy bags are 2 for $6. Offer valid through April 17th with My Walgreens. Restrictions apply on offer and pickup and delivery. See Walgreens.com for details.
Circle up, team. We've got status.
Evelyn's marketing consultancy client roster is skyrocketing.
Okay, so this week is a biggie. We've got the pitch and 3 client meetings.
She needs another analyst before her team's free time plummets.
Who's running the competitive analysis on fruit snacks?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, I'm Atlantic City Police Department Chief James Sarkos. Over the past 2 years, our thoughts and conversations have continuously focused on the latest news regarding the pandemic. I'd like to ask you to do your part to end an increasing symptom of the pandemic, distracted driving. A distraction occurs every time you take your eyes off the road, your hands off the wheel, and your mind off of driving safely. Distracted driving crashes increased during the pandemic, even with fewer motorists on our roadways. While it is tempting to talk, text, or scroll through your social media to keep up with the latest news, it should never be done while operating a motor vehicle. April is Distracted Driving Awareness Month. Police departments in Atlantic County are participating in the You Drive, You Text, You Pay campaign, cracking down on distracted drivers with zero tolerance. A distraction occurs every time you take your eyes off the road, your hands off the wheel, and your mind off of driving safely. Let's all work together to ensure in healthy behaviors and put every symptom of the pandemic behind us.
Here at Total Wine & More, you'll find what you love and love what you find.
I really like this Cabernet, but what's something new?
You will love this one.
Wow! You're good.
Find what you love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More. Wondrous selection, expert guides, totally low prices. Drink responsibly, B21.
At Ocean First Bank, our first thought is you. We put you first in all we do. Community banking for a century. We treat you like your family. Whatever you need, whatever you dream, let's make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
With online and mobile banking, managing your accounts has never been easier, right from the comfort of your own living room or even the sidelines at your son's Little League game. In fact, you'll have access to your accounts anytime from just about anywhere.
Whatever you need, whatever you dream, let's make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
O'Reilly.
If your vehicle squeals or grinds when you slow down or just isn't stopping like it used to, you may need new brakes. Through May 24th, check out the spring brake deals at O'Reilly Auto Parts and get 15% off a set of Brake Best Select or Import Direct brake pads with 2 rotors. Restore safe braking and save money now at O'Reilly Auto Parts or shop online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Powerball is now at $302 million. Stop searching for four-leaf clovers and take a chance on Powerball today. With a jackpot win, you could have the power to do it all. Anything can happen in Jersey.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Get your guys' thoughts and comments before we qualify one more person for the Pick Your Trip contest in about 4 to 5 minutes from now. Text board is open as always at 609-403-0973 is the text board. You also could DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. Dan and EHT chimes in and says, Josh, in your opinion, should the Eagles trade up for Kyle Hamilton or a corner, or should they stay at 15? See, here's the problem, Danny HT. My opinion is not going to be fully my opinion, because I'm going to base part of my opinion on information, because I don't think the Eagles want to trade up in this draft. I think the Eagles want someone to fall to them. They want a player, they want to pick from the best of the bunch at where they're sitting at right now, 15 and 18. I think that if they were going to trade up, they would have already done it, because they already had 3 first-round picks, and they already moved one of those picks to get a pick next year. So what's the point of trading up now if all you're going to do is work off of a deck of potentially maybe the same or less assets? Would I trade up for Kyle Hamilton? Maybe. Not the trap too far, maybe. Maybe if he drops to 10 with the Jets, and if Joe Douglas isn't going to fleece me, I'd consider it. But what am I giving up? Am I giving up 15 and 18? Then I consider it. If I have to give up one of my first round picks next year, I'm not considering it, because the whole point of having those 2 first round picks next year is so that if Jalen Hurts doesn't work out this year, if he regresses, you got to go draft a quarterback next year. If Jalen Hurts plays better this year than last year, then you go into the draft and you know you got to build more around him. So to me, I'm not giving up anything from this year's draft. Sorry, next year's draft. This year, if a team says, look, you can move up by giving up 15 and 18, and I'm guaranteed Kyle Hamilton or Ahmad Sauce Gardner, okay. But the thing is with this draft, there are other corners who are going to be out there. Andrew Booth of Clemson, Kyer Elam of Florida. Even Emerson for Mississippi State's a very interesting player to keep an eye on, because Mississippi State's defense is actually very good this year. So, there are other corners to be had. I don't think that there's one guy who fits or makes sense for the Eagles per se, but to me, if you're not giving up too much, I would consider it, Danny EHT. I'm not sitting here and mortgaging my future too much to go get just one player, because to me, for example, who's the safety from Penn State? Brisker. I think that he's a very good safety, and I think he makes a lot of sense for the Eagles. If they can get him in the second round, why trade for Hamilton if you can get a guy in the second round who potentially is okay? So he's not Kyle Hamilton, but he's pretty darn good, right? So that's why I'm not, in my opinion, if I was drafting, I wouldn't go that route. That's just me. Tonight on 97.3 ESPN, coming up in about 6 minutes from now, coverage of the next round of the NBA play-in tournament. The Hornets taking on the Hawks at 7 p.m., followed by the Spurs and the Pelicans. This is a tough decision for me, but I'm leaning towards Charlotte. It's hard because maybe, here's my thinking real quick. I think Ball and Young cancel each other out. And I think this comes down to supporting cast. I like Charlotte's supporting cast right now better than Atlanta's. And then I think the Pelicans beat the Spurs. I don't think the Spurs have the firepower that New Orleans can produce. If Brandon Ingram is even 80, 85% tonight, I think the Pelicans win by 10 plus tonight. We talked NFL draft. Well, here is your chance to pick your trip at the Eagles draft party with the Sports Bash and Mike Gill at Slack Tie Brewing Company on Route 83. I'm looking for caller number 7 at 609-573-3776. 609-573-3776. Pick your trip is back, and the Eagles draft party is back, where one lucky listener will win the Eagles road trip thanks to Phillies Spurs Trips and Ernest & Sons Old Fashioned Butcher Shop. The Sports Bash Mike Gill will be live Thursday, April 28th from 2 to 6 at Slack Tie Brewing Company on Route 83 in Dennis Township, where one lucky listener will win a trip for 2 to a 2022 Eagles road game of their choice. Caller number 7, 609-573-3776. 609-573-3776. Caller number 7. Good luck. And this is all courtesy of Philly Sports Trips and Ernest & Son Old Fashioned Butcher Shop. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. I'll catch you tomorrow here on 97.3 ESPN FM.